Welcome to another episode of our Good Business Inspo 7 Minutes of Impact. Today we've got Damon from Today. And Damon, welcome, thank you. I'd like to just get you to take a moment to tell everyone who you are, what do you do, who you do it for, what makes the way you do it so unique.
Damon O'Sullivan, CEO and one of the founders of Today. We work in, service transformation. So we work around redesigning and reimagining the services that organisations deliver, with a purpose focus, so around this idea of what's the most social, environmental kind of good they can be doing. And so we think of things like what the service experience is like for any user, to make sure they're really inclusive, to make sure they're accessible to everybody, and to make sure they kind of hit the impact goals of the organisations we work with.
I'm a fan for businesses that create impact in the world. I know there's many different ways to do it. Tell me about your business's impact model.
Yeah, it's one, I think we started with an intent to do good. It was pretty vague. And I guess over time we saw two ways that we mainly can make a difference. One is, I think, just amplifying what's already good. Sometimes we just work with the good guys, and they can be charities of all sorts, or government departments, or social sort of sided businesses that are already doing or having a really good impact. And we just hopefully bring the kind of right talent mix and good levels of thinking to amplify what they're already doing, amplify their impact. And I think along the way, the other thing that we try to do is inject impact. So looking for more opportunity to deliver more impact, which again is, I think, that idea of just being an impact opportunist. So just keeping your eyes open around what could be possible, and if something's already working, what else could it be doing? So I think that level of a little bit of optimism, a little bit of creativity around what could be good here, and how we can stretch it.
I'm fascinated always about the start point for this kind of thing. Where did that desire to do good, where did that come from?
I think the short story is a sort of very well-trodden cliche that Adam, my co-founder, and myself worked at a digital agency that was, one of the better ones in the country. And I was more in the technology side, he was more in the design side. And that, became part of a bigger group of agencies, of that multinational sort of group, and became an advertising agency for a while. And I think we just found ourselves not being that into advertising, maybe in there by accident, and felt a little bit like we were just in the wrong spot for different reasons. So we got out and started to work together again, and started to win work that was a lot like that work. And I guess that it kind of helped us feel our way around what we really wanted to do. And really it was just this hope that we could do what we loved, which was innovation and technology and design and creativity, but doing it just for the stuff that mattered most. So I think we saw those complex social problems around us and all the challenges in front of us, and thought it would be amazing to spend more of our time worrying about that stuff than, selling, popcorn chicken or whatever we could be doing. So that was the basic plot. And I think in hindsight, it probably went better than we thought. It was more successful and well-loved than we ever thought it might be. But I think looking back earlier in my life, I think there was just this sense of always having a sort of social impact focus, but at one point thinking I can't do that and work at the same time as it should. So I think for me it became this idea that maybe this is possible, like maybe I can spend my 9 to 5 doing the good stuff, which has been feels really lucky and really exciting, and still something we're really energized about just doing more and more and more of.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know these journeys don't just unfold magically and smoothly. Can you tell me about some of the challenges you encountered on the path and what you learned from them?
In a sense, we were properly, I'd say, naive, really naive. So at the beginning, we hadn't worked with not-for-profits before. We hadn't worked in what we call that sort of purpose sector before. So we hadn't worked much with government, hadn't worked really at all with not-for-profits, hadn't worked with, non-profit sides of not-profit, but, the social side of business. So it was all kind of new to us. So I think the first few years were real discovery mode, just sort of doing and thinking and trying to figure it out. And I think it was hard for us in those early years, to sort of, starting any business is hard. So just sort of staying alive seems to be the first challenge. But I think also trying to understand where we could sit, where we could add value, where we we might be useful. So I think for us, it was sort of this experimental, let's just try and see and fight and all that sort of stuff. And over time, I think you could start to see the patterns of where we seem to fit better and where we set our clients seem to think you guys are awesome. And, you know, so in a sense, we let a few years go by, I think, before we started to really get any firm pictures of what we would be, which I think was probably helpful. Maybe that real wait and see.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Can you share a story or an outcome that really illustrates the impact that your business is designed to do?
There's a few. There's one that I loved in recent years, and that was around mental health reform down here. And part of the sort of recommendations to be implemented was this idea of going from a health-led crisis response from a justice-led, police-led sort of crisis response. So if someone's dialing 000 and there's a mental health episode or something happening, that the health professionals should be leading that response for a better outcome for all involved. And for us, it's sort of like a service level problem in that there's a service experience that needs to change. But in this case, it was just really complex because it was, 4 or 5 different organisations working together to deliver that piece of service. So I think in that setting where we can be really useful is getting people together and creating the space where they can really focus on outcomes and focus on working through things like cultural differences between organisations and operational differences and all the things that make this stuff really hard and complicated. Staying motivated around a goal. So for us, we'd say that's around that sort of facilitated, community-led, co-designy, let's get people with lived experience and really use design and strategy in a way that involves lots of people to solve quite a complex problem, but stay motivated and be trusting of each other and all things you need to make that come true. So that's, we love that kind of thing. More simply, there's a not-for-profit that we've worked with called the Resilience Project, and we help them more with like an operational piece of infrastructure, digital infrastructure that just made their service delivery a whole lot easier and a whole lot better, and made the experience of their users a whole lot better, which made the impact of their programs better. So I guess we do different things, but a lot of the time it's trying to work on those enablers for our clients so they can amplify, as I say,
awesome.
Extend the impact they make.
So the shaping of your impact as the intentions and initiatives have evolved, what effect has that had on your business itself? So clarity of like you said, you started with the intention to just do good, and those two pathways kind of illuminated. What's the impact on the business and your people that has evolved out of that clarity?
It's funny because we've done a lot of different things. We use some fairly similar methodologies over and over, but in lots of different ways. So honestly, it feels like it's clearer. We're 12 years in, and it feels like every year it gets clearer. But we're probably never 100% sharp. But I think right now it feels like there are patterns of problem, and there's patterns of the way we work. And I think there's good clarity internally around how to apply those and what the essential ingredients are internally. So the things we talk about internally are building trust, creating room for creativity, and really stretching our thinking and bringing optimism and courage and all those sorts of things to the work. So I was mentioning, just before that idea of we had a retrospective day where we talked through all the projects we've done. And I think these sort of, qualities of how we work are really consistent, even though the work we do is quite varied. So I think we're sort of learning through continually doing and reflecting, I guess, the bits that work and where they might apply in future projects.
It's very fitting for what it is that you do there.
It's true. I think we're probably tragically designers forever, so we'll never quite finish designing the thing.
Everything's a work in progress, and especially impact, right? So one of the things looking forward, I think from those introspective days or retrospective days, have you set more future goals that for impact for the business?
Yes, I think our, again, a very basic goal for us is around, there's depth and scale of impact, I guess, is what we think about. I think the big opportunity in front of all of us, I think, at the moment is you've got technology expanding and accelerating, like has been promised for years, but is actually happening in front of our eyes now. And I think with that is the huge opportunity around helping scale those smaller organisations or programs or products or services using that technology to really amplifying that good like we've never been able to before. So I think for us, it's about, focusing in on that as an opportunity over the next few years. Like, how do we apply what used to be impossible technology, which is now widely available and cheap, to really make a difference? So that's a focus. And then I think really thinking about inclusive design practice and designing for all and community-led and all these sorts of things. Like, what does it all mean in those spaces? But yeah, I feel like right now in the dawn of AI, I feel like it's technology is a great enabler again, like it was, I think, when the web really got started.
It makes a lot of sense given the assistance you're doing with service delivery. Like, I can see those pathways immediately.
That's it. So many opportunities. It does feel like it's kind of 1995 in the internet game. It's going to be 20 years ahead, and you're not sure where it'll take us.
Yeah.
Great.
What advice would you offer for somebody that is new to the purpose world or at the cusp on they want to make a difference? What should they be thinking?
And I don't know. For me, a barrier at the beginning was I didn't think I had... It felt a bit silly when we started. Like, I didn't feel like we had the right to say we wanted to do, good work, or that people would take it that seriously. And I think what we found wonderfully true really, really quickly was people really want to work with people who share their values, and they just become motivated, and you motivate each other. And it's actually that thing that more than you would ever expect. Once you start saying, I want to do something good, people will get behind and support, because not because they want to push you up the hill necessarily, but they definitely want to push that impact or purpose or goal with you. I think that's what we found kind of unexpectedly strong in the beginning, and still is today. Like, there are people that back us really, not because so much that we're us, that it is just they believe in what we believe in, they want to see the change we want to see. So you end up joining a kind of quiet coalition of people that are working really hard to do the same thing, and that's pretty lovely. And because a good example of that is sort of network, and you don't think much of it till you're in it, but then you think, oh, these are all people, and we're all sort of marching in the same direction, trying to create a better world, which is lovely to be part of. So I guess all of this sort of cynicism and hesitation in my head, if it's in anyone else's head, you should sort of quash it and just move through it.
Imposter syndrome is real. Totally. Where can people find out more about you and the work that you and your awesome team are doing?
I think today.design is our strange URL. So yeah, you'll find out more about us there. And we're happy to, again, we care about what we do probably more than we care about ourselves. So we're always happy to chat and share. So if people are kind of interested in how we work or the sorts of things we've done, we're very happy just to share what we've learned along the way. So yeah.
Thanks for the chat, Damon. It was awesome to have you here. For those of you watching, if you want more of this, hit subscribe, share this, and stay tuned for another edition coming soon.